In the hurried cacophony of Mrs. Albright's history class, Ilara's mind often felt like a tangled skein of yarn, struggling to keep pace with the rapid-fire questions. Her brow furrowed in concentration as Mrs. Albright spoke, her voice sharp. "Ilara, are you with us, or are you still pondering last week's homework?" A ripple of hushed giggles spread through the room, making Ilara's cheeks burn with shame. The whispers followed her like an invisible shadow, echoing the cruel labels that chipped away at her self-worth, leaving her feeling perpetually behind. She yearned for a mind that moved with effortless grace, but instead, her thoughts often felt heavy and slow. During lunch, a group of her peers snickered from a nearby table, their voices deliberately loud enough for her to hear. Liam, the ringleader, called out, "Hey, Ilara! Still trying to figure out which end of the spoon to use?" The laughter that followed felt like a physical blow, making her retreat further into her shell. That afternoon, a relentless downpour mirrored the gloom in her heart, washing the streets in a reflective sheen as she walked home. Each raindrop seemed to emphasize her feeling of being adrift in a world moving too quickly for her. Seeking solace, Ilara instinctively turned towards the familiar winding path leading to her grandmother Kaylin's cozy, ivy-covered cottage, a sanctuary from the harsh realities of the outside world. The scent of damp earth and blooming jasmine promised comfort. As she pushed open the slightly creaking wooden door, the warm aroma of brewing herbal tea and fresh ginger immediately embraced her, a loving embrace. Kaylin appeared from the kitchen, her eyes twinkling with immediate recognition of Ilara's quiet distress. Kaylin gently led Ilara to a plush armchair by the crackling fireplace, offering a steaming mug of her special calming chamomile blend. Ilara, clutching the warm mug, finally confessed, her voice barely a whisper. "Grandmother, I feel so slow. I just can't keep up with everyone else." Kaylin listened with a patient smile, her eyes full of ancient understanding. She leaned forward, her voice soft but firm. "My dear Ilara, speed is not always strength. Sometimes true power lies in thoughtful cultivation." She then added, "There is an old way, a technique forgotten by many, that our ancestors used to build vast inner worlds of knowledge." Kaylin explained the mind garden, a vivid mental landscape where every piece of information became a seed planted with intention, growing into a tree of knowledge. This technique allowed ancient scholars to organize vast amounts of data within their minds, accessing it with effortless recall. Ilara listened intently, her initial skepticism slowly giving way to a flicker of hope, a tiny spark in the vast darkness of her self-doubt. She looked up at her grandmother, her emerald eyes wide with a newfound curiosity, and asked, "But grandmother, how do I build such a garden?" The following week saw Ilara diligently practicing the mind garden technique, beginning with small, simple tasks like memorizing lists of herbs in Kaylin's garden. Her first attempts were clumsy, her mental garden a bit patchy and uneven. One evening, frustration clearly evident in her voice, Ilara sighed. "Grandmother, it's so hard. My mind keeps wandering, and the plants won't stay put." Kaylin smiled gently and responded, "Every gardener faces weeds, dear one. Simply return your focus to the soil and replant with patience." Slowly but surely, Ilara's mental garden began to flourish, individual facts becoming vibrant flowers, historical timelines forming strong, winding vines. She started to visualize her textbook pages as pathways through her growing landscape. In class, she no longer fumbled for answers. Instead, she closed her eyes for a fleeting second, accessing the carefully cultivated sections of her mind garden. The information flowed with newfound clarity and precision, surprising even herself. During a particularly challenging pop quiz, Ilara calmly navigated her mental pathways, retrieving complex dates and names with ease. Mrs. Albright, collecting the papers, paused at Alara's desk, a look of genuine surprise on her face, saying, "Alara, this is truly remarkable progress." The subtle shift in Alara's demeanor did not go unnoticed by her former tormentors, who now looked on with a mixture of confusion and grudging respect. The cruel taunts had diminished, replaced by an uncomfortable silence. One day, Liam, looking genuinely perplexed, approached Alara in the library, asking with a hesitant tone, "How did you suddenly get so good at everything, Alara?" Alara simply smiled, her eyes twinkling, and replied, "I just learned how to tend my garden, Liam." Her grades soared, her confidence blossomed, and she even began helping other struggling classmates, discreetly sharing tips on organization and memory without revealing the full extent of her secret. Her quiet strength became an inspiration. Alara spent countless hours immersed in Kalen's library, studying ancient texts and illuminated manuscripts that detailed various mnemonic systems and philosophical approaches to learning. Each book was a new seed for her ever-expanding mind garden. One crisp autumn afternoon, Kalen watched Alara expertly recall an entire poem after only a few readings, her face beaming with pride. She murmured, "Your garden, Alara, it grows more beautiful with each passing season." Alara looked at her grandmother, her gratitude shining through. "Only because you taught me how to plant the first seed." Years melted away like snow in spring, and Alara blossomed into a thoughtful, confident young woman, excelling in her studies and quietly becoming a sought-after tutor in her community. Her mind garden continued to expand, a vast and intricate inner universe. She would often find herself observing students struggling with the same frustrations she once knew, their faces etched with confusion and despair. A quiet ache settled in her heart, recognizing their silent battles. One evening, while watering the beloved herb garden she now tended herself, Alara recalled Kalen's gentle voice saying, "Wisdom is not meant to be hoarded, Alara. It is a river that must flow to nourish many." A profound realization dawned upon her. Inspired by her grandmother's words, Alara began to meticulously distill the ancient mind garden technique into a modern, accessible curriculum. She spent months organizing, writing, and refining, pouring her heart into every lesson. Her first small workshop, held in a local community center, was attended by only a handful of curious students and parents. Alara spoke with quiet conviction, sharing the principles that had transformed her own life. Word of mouth spread, slowly at first, then like wildfire through local schools and online forums. Students found newfound clarity, teachers reported remarkable engagement, and parents expressed heartfelt gratitude. Alara's mind garden method soon transcended local boundaries, reaching students in distant lands through online courses and translated materials. Her quiet determination had blossomed into a global phenomenon, touching lives across continents. A vast lecture hall, bathed in the soft glow of projection screens, now held thousands of eager faces, all looking up at Alara, no longer the slow girl, but a revered educator. She stood before them, a testament to the power of cultivated thought. As she concluded her lecture, a young girl in the front row, clutching a worn notebook just like Alara's own from years past, looked up with shining, hopeful eyes. Alara paused, a gentle smile gracing her lips, and softly said, "Remember, every mind has a garden. You just need to learn how to tend it with patience and care." The once forgotten wisdom, nurtured by a grandmother's love and a girl's perseverance, had blossomed into a legacy that empowered thousands, proving that true strength lies not in speed, but in the profound depth of a cultivated mind.